Welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast, a mix of both solo episodes and expert interviews. Our ideal listener is an early career, ambitious, and passionate online language services provider. She is committed to professional growth and achieving success in the fiercely competitive translation and interpreting industry. She balances multiple responsibilities with resourcefulness, values mentorship, is open to learning, and investing in her professional development journey. She embraces technology and seeks to optimize workflow, eager to connect with like-minded peers and build out her professional network. She is determined to overcome challenges and become a sought-after freelance translator. And here's your host, medical translator and translator business mentor, Jason Willis-Lee.
Carlos is close to hitting the milestone of 25 years providing language services and training for organizations, professional associations, and individuals all over the world. Over these years, he has worked with hundreds of international clients such as Amazon, Microsoft, 3M, Cisco, United Technologies, SDL, RWS, and Nokia, to name but a few. Along with his lecturing and teaching gigs at the University of Bologna, Istrad, and Tragora Formación, he is a regular speaker at international translation industry events and loves sharing knowledge with fellow professionals to build a better, more human, yet tech-oriented industry led by happy people. He currently lives in a beautiful village near Pisa. And welcome to How to Find More Direct Clients, a podcast hosted by myself, Jason Willis-Lee, the show that makes digital marketing easier and more fun using the perfect combination and just the right dose of business strategy and tech. I'm your host, Jason Willis-Lee, digital marketing specialist, and today I am so thrilled to welcome my friend and colleague, Carlos La Orden Tovar. Highly experienced in both translation tech and AI, Carlos brings a very unique perspective to this discussion. Carlos, bienvenido al podcast. Welcome to our show.
Muchas gracias, Jason. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and accepting my invite. Just as an icebreaker, can you tell us a little about your personal journey in translation tech? And that's what I know you for. That's what we all know you for. And your unique vision for the future of our industry.
Yeah, well, I think that my journey, I've been in contact with translation technology and localization for the last 25 years. I lost count of it. Beginning, I've been working in different roles, playing different roles within the industry, even before I knew I was part of the localization industry or the translation technology industry, for that sake. I've been working and collaborating with Nokia as a translation technology trainer. I joined the localization companies in Italy and abroad. I've been working in different countries, 10, if my memory serves me right. Right now I'm based in Italy, because I'm a Spaniard, and I have found a professional excuse to keep traveling the world, just sharing knowledge and, of course, learning from all the people, the brilliant people in the industry about all things tech and languages and how to shape this beautiful industry of ours, which is constantly undergoing so much change that sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming to absorb, right?
Absolutely. So are you employed? Are you an in-house employee at the moment by a company, or are you full-time freelance?
No, I went freelancing about, it's going to be 9 years or so. I had never lost my freelancing side, but even when I was working as an in-house project manager, a technology and engineer, I also been working as a side job to keep translating, to keep my hands on the ground in translation and on language, because something that I've always loved. But at the same time, I was developing all the skills that have proven really useful when I went freelancing and started developing this technologist profile.
Let's talk more about that. So first of all, public speaking in the tech field. I mean, I know you as a very well-known, I would call you a tech geek, almost in the nicest sense of the word. You're very knowledgeable. You're a very popular speaker at translation events worldwide. I last heard you speak in Seville, BP Seville, just a few weeks ago in April. And then before that, I saw you in Riga and you moderated a discussion, I thought very, very well. Could you tell us about your professional and personal journey? How did you get into technologist speaking?
Well, for a start, I always loved computing and video games and software. I am one of the explorer type. I like to understand how things work, and I've always loved spending time in front of computers. My PC was always disassembled, so when I entered the translation industry, it only came naturally to try to understand how could I improve my productivity, my way of doing things, and doing things more. In a more productive fashion, not necessarily faster, but better and more accurately. Um, After that, I was in contact when I joined this in-house position as project manager. It's CrossGap, later known as Junkers, as a localization company. And I was in charge of some very, very interesting and challenging software localization projects. And I was given room to play around with translation technology. And that was fantastic. That was pretty much my best school. I was surrounded by very good professionals. And I started just developing this profile that I mixed up. I kept in contact with other colleagues from different regions, from within the company, from other companies. And when I went solo, I was given a very good piece of advice saying, okay, I want to do something else with my profession. I want to develop my professional profile, but I don't know how. So what can I do? Okay, just try to focus on what you think you do best. Just leave aside all the things that you don't like. Just okay, you might need those side skills, but keep them in the background and focus on what you do best. Then I started developing, so I could spend more time on researching technology and researching productivity tips and skills, and help other people, because that was also one of my priorities, to spread the word and share my knowledge, because it can get a lonely job being a translator. And I know a lot of brilliant professionals that they are just kept in the shadows, and I would like them to enjoy as much as I do, as people that just like you do as well, just attending translation events and sharing all the knowledge and the joy and also the worries that we have.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I go to events, is the human contact. I love speaking at events. I wasn't speaking in Seville, but I was in Riga. When I was growing up in the 1980s, I had a Spectrum +2 computer. Do you remember the Spectrum?
That was exactly my model.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So we are similar age, I think. Yeah, I had the Spectrum +2, and this was with the tape cassette. You needed to load the game with a tape, and then you were there sort of spinning the tape, rewinding it with a pen or something, or a pencil. Those were the days. Those were the days. I remember. Then the +3 came out, which was a disk drive, and then you put a floppy disk in. So I remember those days very, very well. So 40 years ago, nearly 40 years ago. I'll be 49.
I must confess, when before we started recording the session, I told you that I was going to my hometown in a few days to start my holiday break.
You did.
And actually, I have my Spectrum just waiting for me. And one of the things I do every time I go to my mom's place, I assemble it back and turn on the TV and spend some time just playing around now with my kids, and they also love it, playing it. So with some retro kids.
How old are your kids? How old are your kids now?
12 and 9.
12 and 9. So they can enjoy the Spectrum as much as you did when you were their age. Let's talk about the AI revolution. So we're in the middle of an AI Armageddon. Obviously, AI is a big. I like to teach leveraging the tools, not be scared of it. But some people understandably are scared. I like to think of it as an opportunity. Any wave of tech destroys something but creates something else, I think. How has the AI, especially large language model revolution, changed the way in which you particularly work on a day-to-day basis? How has it changed what you talk about or what you do in your daily?
I think that it has not particularly affected the direct work I do as a localizer or as a technology with my clients, but it has entered and switched the focus on the conversation, the type of conversations that I have when I talk about technology, when I do some consultancy with some clients, with companies, translation companies, and end clients as well. So companies that want to understand how to integrate translation processes because they are going global. And all of them, with no exceptions whatsoever, are nowadays bringing to the table the topic of AI. I believe that we need to, right now, I think we're past the hype. We're starting to get past this initial step of just talking about all the miracle and the promise that it might deliver or it might not deliver. But right now we are focusing on more specific use cases. So now the conversation is switching to a more realistic approach and saying, okay, we believed it could do everything, but right now we realize that it might fall short on several fronts. So we might narrow down how to better use our budget and our money on artificial intelligence, because obviously just training AI, the technology will get better, of course. We may get better, we need resources, we need specialized people to work on AI, but that's a resource as well, and it costs time, man hours, it costs training skills, it costs server time, it costs resources, cloud time. So, and companies, of course, they don't have endless resources to train that, to devote to that technology. So they might be more realistic when it comes down, okay, we cannot apply AI on any use case to solve all of our problems. Right now, we need AI to focus on this specific problem that we cannot solve at this moment. And then I think the conversation is slowly switching towards that path. And of course, this is just like you very rightly pointed out, is going to make this change, and there's a disruption. So there's people who don't know how to react, might find themselves just trying to understand what is happening, it's evolving. So I think that whether you join or not the AI revolution, whether you embrace it or just try to fight against it, so any posture is grounded, and every individual and every company has valid reasons to go for or against, but you need to understand how it works, and you need how the tide is flowing, how the tide is moving, in order to be prepared and be ready for the change. And
what is a typical consultancy problem you solve for a translation company? So without revealing, obviously, confidentiality, client names, what is a typical consultancy problem you solve? What kind of discussions are you having with translation agencies or companies?
Yeah, I think the two most the two most recurrent conversations I have is helping companies understand how translation works. As simple as that, and as complex as that. How a translation workflow should behave. So a company wants to go global. I want to make my contents, my website, my application, my goodies global. So how do arrange? Where do I start from? So you need to help them understand how they can organize a translation project, which type of resources, of human resources, and which type of technology and tools they should start adopting and understanding in order to arrange and flesh out that process that is only on the mind of some CEO, and saying, okay, now you have a structure, and now you need to put a cost on that technology, and you provide them with several options. And the other is companies that are already knowledgeable about translation processes, but need to optimize them, meaning that they are mostly small medium-sized companies that have some processes in place, but they don't have enough people to take care of some of the process. Some of the process, they're really time-consuming. For example, reporting, invoicing within integrated invoicing process within the how to leverage with machine translation, with other human-made translation memories, how they can leverage translation memories. Some companies have been working for decades. You wouldn't believe that. Some companies who have been working with translation processes for years, even for decades, but still do not use translation memories, still do not use handled terminology. So you just try to open their eyes towards this type of more professional management, towards ensuring higher quality and just trying to deliver more quality to the table, and of course just raising the profile of the company when it comes to these language processes.
What are the top 3 programs you recommend? I mean, what software do you try and implement in your clients' processes? Are you recommending specific cut tools? Are you recommending glossaries, dictionaries?
Yeah, well, I recommend several because since I have some interest, I will not disclose any names.
Yeah.
But yeah, translation management processes, systems, TMSs, they are very popular nowadays.
Yeah.
They are cloud-based, most of them nowadays. So basically, they are maintained by the software, provider, be it memoQ server, Trados team, be it BureauWorks. There are plenty
Yeah.
of them. But on one side, the clients want the right balance between having a system already in place, but they want to keep control and keep tabs on the process. So you need to deliver them the right balance between control and automation as well. So some of them might still prefer having a local system, even though the cloud provides many advantages over local or server-based systems, but still some of them work on, once they have ensured their availability and there are no downtime, and so they are available 24/7 to the clients, they still prefer to keep things local and to keep things small. So in a few words, you need to understand many clients, they don't want to be swept away by the hype of the promise of technology. Even if I'm a technology trainer, and it must be talking against my own interests, but they need to understand the right balance for them. And sometimes the most difficult part in consulting is just trying to coach them towards this understanding of the right balance of
Absolutely.
technology for them.
You mentioned memoQ. Just today, I received an email to download memoQ 11. So I like to keep the tools that I use for client accounts up to date. So I did download memoQ 11. Do keep your tools up to date. Try and get an SMA as well, which is a service maintenance agreement in place. So that something goes wrong, you can shout at someone and get a solution. That's very important. memoQ used to be Kilgrey. I think it's now called just memoQ is the company. They were sponsoring the Elia event in Riga, I think. And then you mentioned BureauWorks. I have a meeting tomorrow with BureauWorks because I have a relationship with them. So we'll get a link out in the show notes as well. Okay, let's look at tech entrepreneurship. What kind of outlook do you see for technological entrepreneurship in the post-AI world? This includes creative careers in general. With the recent boom in AI, what future do you see for tech entrepreneurship and people forming companies and making offers around this? And what advice would you give aspiring, I call them upreneurs or solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, looking to enter the language service industry? What advice would you give maybe tech entrepreneurs? I mean, this is your field. And what's the future looking like?
I think the future is, well, to be honest, I mean, the situation, there's much more, the hype is much louder nowadays around artificial intelligence, but I think this type of conversation has been going on for forever.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to technology and you become a technology trainer or a geek of sorts, and you need to be up to date all the time, because otherwise, it's a blink of an eye, you lose track of the conversation that is going on social media, on the forums with the customer, where your clients talk, and you might just lose the interesting pieces of conversation that might give you some hints on what's coming up in 2 years, in 3 years, whatever. So that's been a constant, technology trainers. For non-geeky translators, or people who still need to use technology, I think that the technological profile for the average translator has raised in the last few years. Of course, we use nowadays more translation technology than we used to 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But there were still technological translators back in the day using word processors against people who just were typewriting, right? But still, there are people who need to understand that there is the right level. Let's get back to my previous point. There's the right level of technology for freelancers and for solopreneurs. Some of them might embrace more technology. a higher degree of technology, including AI or not, or including larger automations and a deeper integration between their systems, their own procedures, and the processes that they have devised over the years. And some of them might want to keep things more on a low level and focus on other aspects, who have not necessarily given priority to productivity and to technological side of their business. There's room for everyone, but the average level, I mean the average level of technology used by any average translator has raised over time. So a translator who 30 years ago relied on the typewriter, right now I think that they believe they need to know at least a few translation technology tools. CAT tool, what obviously it's managing translation memories, processor, and probably in a few years they will need to know, at least at a very basic level, what AI prompts. So then there will be some translators who enthusiastically embrace AI prompts and delegate a large part of their business on that side. But there might be others who still rely on other different skills. So, but there's room for everyone. There are people who refuse to understand the situation that will be left out. I believe that. I mean, the key is not whether you accept or refuse it. The key is that if you don't understand what your role in the current scenario is, you will be left out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Translators that do not step up to use these tools will be replaced by those who do. That's basically the basic premise. Yesterday, I was at an event, just jokingly, and ChatGPT was referred to at a UK content marketers event as Chat BLT. BLT is a bacon and lettuce and tomato sandwich, and it was Chat BLT. So that's just a very humorous AI joke. Let's just go into the final 5 questions. Thank you so much for those answers. That was very interesting. How would you describe AI just in one word? In one word, how would you describe it? You work with these tools so often.
Overtalked.
Overtalked. Okay, that's a good one.
I think we are giving just way more room that we should have. Probably in 10 years, we will have narrowed down the
we pay far too much lip service to AI than it deserves or warrants. Yeah, sure. What's one technology tool you can't live without? I mean, you're obviously using these tools. You must be testing, using these tools day in, day out. What is one tool that you just wouldn't recognize your life without it?
Well, when it comes to a concrete PC tool, I would say Notepad++, which is a free and open source replacement for Windows Notepad, which has a lot of embedded tools. It's really comprehensive.
And the function of this is just to keep notes, just to write notes on the PC?
No, it's not note-taking. It's just provides you, since I have a lot to do with code, with different types of files, HTML files, bilingual files, translation bilingual assets. And so it provides you a very graphical overview of it, and it lets you see different color-coded types of code, non-code, the encoding. You can just switch between different types of coding, and to me, it's really useful. Okay. Other than that, as a generic productivity tool, and now I have several automations, but my ultimate productivity tool, as your average Spaniard, is Siesta.
Yes, absolutely. Notepad++. We'll get a link to that in the show notes. What's the biggest myth people believe when it comes to translation tech? Something people believe that is actually ultimately not true.
That is not going to work for you, or on the other side of the spectrum, that it has to work for you. Once again, I need to underline this. You need to understand the right level of technology that works for you. So before you either embrace or reject a tool, technological solution, you need to understand it, and just believing that it's all hype. So I need to jump on this boat, or I need to jump off this boat. Just try to understand and try to see if it may eventually work for you, even if it has a learning curve. And of course, New tools require time, it require effort. Sometimes they often require a subscription or money or licensing.
Yep.
But just try to understand them before you take a decision.
What's the best business advice you've ever received, or perhaps given someone else?
I think that's I mentioned that earlier. I think that's when I went freelancing and I did not understand. I wanted to give some kind of consultancy. I believed I was good at technology, but I wanted to do a lot of things, but I needed to narrow down.
Yeah.
But I didn't, so a good friend of mine from my hometown told me, okay, just try to stop trying to help everyone. Just focus on using your best skills and focus on people who are interested in using those skills.
So we could say deeper, not wider, perhaps. Just turn the volume up on your key skills, not try to be everything to everyone. Great answer, thank you. And if you could put a blank billboard up anywhere, so on the biggest avenue in Soria, your hometown in Spain, what would you put on that blank billboard? What would you write on it? Something maybe non-commercial. So if it's not your own company or your own services, what would you market on that billboard? What would you put? What message would you put on it?
Go beyond slogans and go beyond hype and try to understand the situation. That goes for politics, that goes for culture, that goes for your job, trying to find and understand what's your role in life with your family, with your friends. And I think that's the key to everything.
That's a universal answer. Thank you. That's very good. Okay, let's close. Any final thoughts or key takeaways you'd like to share with our audience? So our audience are mainly translators. I'm guessing there's a smidgen of interpreters and copywriters in there as well. Who knows? There may be some graphic designers following us, but I'm thinking mainly the type of audience you and I are used to at translation events that we're both used to. So the final message is understand your role in the tech process.
Yeah,
That's what I'm understanding.
And get along. Just try to get close to the people who are already good in your industry or in the field you would love to be. So the best way to do that is just attend events, attend your industry events, whether they are translators or marketers, or you're into technology, go to technology providers, and just go to their arena and try to understand what they do, what the conversations are about. And that's the best way. Do the same in social media, translation events, and just start talking and engage in conversations. And you will definitely just change your profile, particularly if you are starting your career, or you have already started your career, but you have a undefined profile, sort of a vague profile, and you really would like to niche and to better understand the situations. I think that's the conversations that kick off everything start with just a better understanding of your role and in general the industry you're about to join.
Yeah, I love the engagement. I'm teaching people all the time to engage on social media. It's not the number of followers, it's the quality of the engagement. Absolutely. Where can our listeners connect with you best or learn more about your work and expertise? What platform is best to connect with you? I've seen you on LinkedIn. Is there another platform, or is that the best place?
I'm pretty much the chatterbox on LinkedIn and Twitter. And Twitter, I mostly tweet in X now.
Yes,
it's in Spanish, but not always, but mostly. And when I want to engage in deeper conversations, more business-wise, I use LinkedIn most of the times. And of course, I love attending and presenting at translation events and technology events. So please, if we haven't met face to face yet, and you want to, please stop me and say hi. Next time.
When we both got back from Riga, I was back in Madrid, and everyone was posting about the Riga ELIA conference. Within seconds, Carlos' post got about 80 with 3-figure likes and interactions. It was incredible. 80 or 90 likes. I was like, when am I going to get 80 likes in a few seconds? That was amazing. Incredible. All right. Connect with Carlos on LinkedIn. All right. Let's wrap it up for today's episode of How to Find More Direct Clients. Stay tuned for more engaging, interactive discussions on the ever-evolving landscape of language and marketing and AI. So until next time, remember, stay on your game and keep shooting for those lofty goals. And don't forget to future-proof your career in the digital AI era. Bye for now, and thank you for your time, Carlos, and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you for having me as your guest, Jason.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Jason played cello in the Bath Symphony Orchestra in the UK. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.